Good work. You made it to part 5. Acronyms all around. We're going to go through PCI, HIPAA, and GDPR. Module 1, Pci Dss. Well, what is Pci Dss? It stands for the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. And basically it's saying if you're taking people's credit cards, you need to take care of them and make sure that they're secure. That's simple. Know your SAQ from your ASV. There's a whole bunch of terms around Pci Dss that can start to confuse you, so let's run through some you might run into, and hopefully they'll be clear to you. First is the SAQ, which stands for a Self-Assessment Questionnaire. This is a questionnaire that your payment card processor or your insurer may ask you to complete that answers questions about the security of your environment. There's something called an ASV, which is an approved scanning vendor. Sometimes you'll be required to have a vulnerability scan, which we covered earlier, performed by an approved scanning vendor. TrustWave and Security Metrics, two companies I mentioned before, are both approved security vendors, approved scanning vendors that can perform that service for you. PCI, as we've discussed, stands for the Payment Card Industry. DSS stands for Data Security Standard. Another term you might hear is CP, or card present, and that's something like a restaurant or a point of sale where you're actually giving your credit card and swiping it or handing it to someone, meaning a card present environment. Pretty straightforward, just means you have to have the card there to use it. The other one you might hear is card not present environment, and that's an example of like Amazon, where you're buying something online and you don't have to physically have the card there because you're not physically there either. Something you might not know is that you might already be paying non-compliance fees for being in non-compliance with the Pci Dss standard. Another thing is that your payment card processor may not care because they're happy to collect the fees. So you might want to look through your invoices and see if you're paying something like a PCI non-compliance fee. You might just need to do something really simple, like get a vulnerability scan or fill out an SAQ or a self-assessment questionnaire in order to get this fee removed. Just to be clear, this is your payment processor. So you're not looking at the credit card statement where you buy things with your credit card. You're looking at the statements for the credit cards that you collect as an organization or as a business. That's your payment card processor. Some fun facts about PCI breaches. About 50% of US businesses are not PCI compliant. Your payment processor may not want you to be PCI compliant because they'd love to keep collecting the non-compliance fees. Only about 1/3 of businesses who suffer a PCI breach report it, either because they don't know they experienced the breach or they haven't prepared and don't know how to respond. We're going to talk about how to respond later when we go through incident response planning. Another thing you might want to know, you might think that a lot of these breaches affect big businesses because all we read about in the newspapers are the major companies that experience breaches, but 90% of the breaches that happen to small businesses. And the average cost of a breach for a small business is about $36,000. If you can reduce the likelihood of that happening for a few $100s a year to run a vulnerability scan and a couple hours to complete a self-assessment questionnaire, that's money really well spent. There are basically 3 parts to PCI compliance. Keep it nice and simple. Number 1, complete your self-assessment questionnaire annually and try to do something about the problems that are discovered. Number 2, run quarterly vulnerability scans. And last, monitor and mitigate. That means when these scans or self-assessment questionnaires discover problems in your network or on your systems, do some work to remediate those problems.